Today to all. The topic I'd like to discuss today is the death penalty. The recent botched execution of a inmate in Oklahoma, where the state was experimenting with a new drug cocktail, ended up in pain and agony for the inmate, and he didn't even die during his execution. He actually died later from a heart attack. This event started a fierce discussion about the death penalty again in the United States. Now, where are we standing today in regard to the death penalty? The amount of death sentences has definitely declined. In 2013 there were 3,100 death sentences compared to 3,600 in the year 2000, according to the State Department. The factors influencing the death sentences are several, but the main factors are that, first of all, the homicide rate in the United States, and I'm talking about first-degree murders, so heinous crimes, went down from 10 in 100,000 people per year in the year 1980 to half of that, 5 per 100,000 in the year 2012. The other reason is that juries until now were not able to seek life imprisonment without parole in many states. This has changed, and the fact that the jury now has an option to choose between the death penalty or the more comfortable life imprisonment without parole made it for many juries easier to escape asking for the death penalty, which they did. Well, what is the general attitude in the United States towards the death penalty? Well, most Americans are still in favor. According to a Gallup poll in the year 1994, 80% of the Americans were in favor of the death penalty. This declined to 60% in the year 2013. Well, who are the people that are in favor of the death penalty? Well, in general we can say it's your average older white American that is predominantly still in favor of the death penalty. People who are strongly opposed, or mostly strongly opposed, are young people, the newer generations, and also people belonging to ethnic majorities. Now, what is the reason for people to be in favor of the death penalty? And also probably part of you in the audience have similar ideas if they are in favor. Well, the main argument that is used the most is deterrence. Deterrence in the death penalty is that death penalty deters people from committing murders. Well, is this really the case? The evidence for this is at least ambiguous and vague. There are many factors that play into committing murders or murder rates. We can think of demography, unemployment, poverty, policing, and many of such factors. Culture, for instance, is another big one. Another thing that is often mentioned is gun control, or the lack of it. Well, Europe has no guns, and an argument often heard is that because of this and the strict gun control, the murder rate in Europe is very low, like in Japan. In contrary to the United States, where there is in many states no gun control or very limited, hence people are able to commit more murders. Well, in Switzerland, where I live, has actually a higher density of arms among the population than in the United States, one of the few countries in the world that actually has. Most men here, almost every man, was in the military, and after that is assigned to a militia in his state and has his automatic assault rifle even at home. Nevertheless, the murder rate in Switzerland is very low. It's 0.4 per 100,000 per year, compared to over 4 per 100,000 in the US. The American National Research Council has up till now found no scientific research that could be used as evidence to show that capital punishment is having an effect, either reducing, increasing, or no effect on the murder rate. The second argument you hear a lot in favor of the death penalty is that it's saving the taxpayer money by executing people. Well, the execution itself definitely is not very expensive. It's not costing the state much. The problem is that the whole process prior to it does. We're talking about endless appeals using the judicial system to a far extent, which brings in a lot of extra costs, lawyers, etc., etc. And in the meantime, the person that is on death row is incarcerated there in his own cell. That's probably more than one prison guard, gets his food delivered to his cell, and in that way it's estimated he will probably cost the taxpayer 3 times more than a normal inmate in the general prison population. Now, appealing reasons to be against the death penalty, and one of the main ones you hear more often lately, is that it's irrevocable. Once you have executed a person, there is no way back. You cannot undo a death penalty. The National Academy of Science recently found in a study this year that it believes that 1 in 25 people put to death, so over 4%, is probably innocent. They used evidence out of very complicated logarithms used in other research projects, and they used evidence out of DNA. Probably in the future it will even be higher than this, because more and more cases are reviewed, and DNA evidence now can be obtained in much more harder cases than previously, and it will probably have an effect on the amount of people that are executed innocently. It will be probably even higher than we think today. The other argument to be against the death penalty is basically connecting to my starting introduction, that it's at the moment not possible to execute people in a humane way. Why was the state of Oklahoma experimenting with a new drug cocktail? Well, the reason is they were not able to get their hands on the good stuff. Let's put it that way, a bit sarcastic. American pharmaceutical companies and European companies, for the same reason, are not willing to supply the drugs, the chemicals that are used to commence executions, for the reason of regulatory backlash. They are afraid that it might have some severe consequences for them, and also for their possibilities to in an export. So what can we conclude from all this? What will happen with the death penalty in the future? Well, the courts are not gonna terminate the death penalty. As long as there are states where a jury can seek the death penalty and it's possible, it will probably do so in certain cases, especially very high profile or high crimes. But on the long term, the legislators and even the governors might actually become the last nail in the coffin of the death penalty. And in my opinion, and in the opinion of some other people, the numbers of the death penalty in the United States in the form that we know it now, or maybe even entirely, are definitely numbered. Thank you for listening.